Hey YouTubes, I'm going to be discussing the top 10 best brutal death metal demos of all time. Now let's get one thing straight. There's a difference between demos and EPs, so before anyone leaves in the comments, why wasn't this, why wasn't that? Well, this is what we're not going to be on the list. Human Waste by Suffocation. Cryptopsy's Ungentle Exhumation. Scatter Remnants, Inherent Perversion. And last but not least, Deeds of Flesh with Gradually Melted. So now that we got the EPs out of the way, we're going to talk about demos that I don't think quite make the cut for a top 10, but are definitely honorable mentions. First off, we got Regurgitation. Although Regurgitation is a great slam and brutal death metal band, very influential in the modern scene, it has been done before in the past, which is why I don't consider it a necessary one. It has been done by bands like Internal Bleeding, Pyrexia, Necrocide. So just like Regurgitation from New York, there is the Mortician demos, which I personally don't find as good as full length, such as Hacked Up and Chainsaw Dismemberment. And then there's also demos that I prefer more than the full length, such as Skinless and Swollen Heaps. We also had other cool New York death metal demos, like Disfigured's Paroxysm, whose singer Ryan would go on to play in Internal Bleeding for a hot minute, and Malignancy with Ignorance is Bliss. Another band I love that I don't think deserves a top 10 spot would be Sepsism. Disavowed, and in my opinion a very, very good one, Beheaded's Soul Dead. Very phenomenal debut demo. So that's going to do it for the honorable mentions. So now we're on to the top 10 best old school brutal death metal demos of all time. In number 10 we have Ton with Blind Follower. This demo is insane. I don't even know how to describe it because the vocals are just fucking... well, you can listen. With Ton's Blind Follower, there's just so much to be said, especially coming from Ohio of all places. I mean, you had bands like Embalmer, Sodomize, you had the up-and-coming Regurgitation. So for them to put this out in '97 is just incredible. At number 9, we have Regurgitation with Conceived Through Vomit. Completely different from what would be their full-length debut, Tales of Necrophilia. But this doesn't need to be Tales of Necrophilia because it's conceived through vomit. It's a completely whole different thing, and I love it for that. Conceived Through Vomit also has some of the most insane guitar riffs I've ever heard from a brutal death metal demo. Demo number 8 is Ousuary with Fat. Ousuary is special because it's the first band to bring internal bleeding slam out of New York. This is Ousuary from Pennsylvania. Ousuary would also be very experimental with their brutal death metal style. It's kind of like grindcore at times as well. Not only did Ousuary experiment with grindcore and brutal death metal, it also experimented with some pretty nasty vocal effects. It's pretty damn cool. At number 6 from Illinois, we have Dead End with Feast of the Flesh. To me, this one is special. Not only is it from Illinois, but it has its own sound, which is very hard considering a lot of bands like Flesh Grind were still kind of sounding like Broken Hope, kind of. But all in all, a great band to copy, obviously. Dead End would also experiment with Exorcist 3 samples a lot, making it a big part of their sound, which is phenomenal.
Friend, Father Karras, as he watches while I rap his cut and mutilate the innocent, his friends and again.
And besides gimmicky samples, it also had some pretty damn good material on it as well. Next up, we're gonna get stupid. Disgorge 95. Crazy, insane demo for its time. This is when brutal death metal became more of the guttural, pitch harmonic stuff. This demo paved the way for so many bands nowadays. Think about all the bands on New Standard Elite, all the bands on Slam Worldwide using pitch harmonics. Very influential for bands, you know, like Putridity. And speaking about gutturals, here we are at number 5, Psychopathic Embryotomy by Afterbirth. Crazy good demo, the start of it. Afterbirth's demo paved the way, and for a band from New York, you know, there was other bands like Necrosis, Embryotic Death, but Afterbirth stands out by far the most. At number 4, we have none other than New York's Internal Bleeding with Perpetual Degradation. There's so much that can be said about this. It is insane. By far the best example of brutal slamming death metal, touched only by its debut after this Voracious Content. And sure, you had other bands messing around with grooves like Resurrection, Daemonacy, Disgorge, but this is insane. Especially like the Slam and Annoyed in Servitude. The next two on my list were very hard to choose from. But at number 3, I have to go with Bathed in Entrails by Dying Fetus. There's absolutely no denying Dying Fetus' legacy in the brutal death metal scene. By far, one of the leaders in the scene. So many copycats. Coming in second place, Scattered Remnants, Procreating Mass Carnage. Jesus Christ. The singer Jay can fucking scream. Procreating Mass Carnage is diabolical. It is by far the most evil demo in brutal death metal history. It also has slams, and just when you think it can't get any more insane, well, it does. And now for the number 1 best brutal death metal demo of all time, in my opinion, is Brutalizing Creations by Mortal Decay. Brutalizing Creations is a huge step up from the previous demo, Grisly Aftermath, in many ways. The first way is, well, it's just plain brutal and excludes all the slow, old-school death metal sounds of the previous one. Brutalizing Creation also prove why Mortal Decay are the masters of homicide brutal death metal. There's a lot also that makes this demo stand out between all the rest. For starters, Johnny's vocals. But by far, I think the most standout quality of this demo is drummer Anthony's fucked up lyrics, because there's a lot of them. So when you look at it, there's a lot of reasons why this one's a standout and definitely above a lot of them. It's by far the most dark. It's fucking as brutal as it gets, and who can forget the best part about the demo?